Number 50, mother. Number 50. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This week, pretty brutal. Between traveling, dealing with grandma's doing well, for everyone wondering.
Yes.
Grandma's
She made it 89.
89. Celebrated it at the Heidelberg, which I'm still waiting for a sponsorship from. Come on, Heidelberg. Get me in there. I'm like one of the few German YouTubers there are.
You weren't raving about their burger, so
You
I don't
know? Yeah, the burger was okay. It felt like it was a lot of lettuce.
I like the sauerbraten.
So, okay. Don't go speaking words like that. People thought that was a racial slur what you just said.
If I said sauerbraten.
You can't be doing that.
No.
Dear God.
Edit that one out.
Yeah.
I think I used the wrong hand anyhow, so it's not official.
It wasn't even a straight hand, but
It was a straight hand.
that's more like hey, I am about to oath on the Bible, right?
That's right.
Anyway, I haven't really been paying attention to the news because I mean, a lot of it's just the indictment stuff. We went over the indictment last time, so I didn't want to beat a dead horse, as they say. But
we've been busy too. We've been very busy.
I would, busy. Again, we haven't been here for most of the stuff. But did you hear about the big Reddit blackout? Have you seen any of this?
Not hear about
that. This is one of those things how it's kind of a weird news article because, and I just mean to the public, in the sense of Reddit's a big organization. Like it's got to be up there with Twitter, Facebook, whatever. But you don't hear about something like this. So I don't think. Have you ever used Reddit?
No. Yeah, I have. It's not very helpful for the stuff I need.
Yes. So the way Reddit works is basically it's a set of subreddits. People make Reddit like titles or categories, and then anyone can post under those. So it's called subreddits. So basically, we're at the point, and we kind of knew this was going to happen years ago, where it's gotten to the point where it's so large, there's so many subreddits with like 2 viewers or 2 users in it that they're like, yeah, we can't keep allocating server spaces to everyone.
It's not worth it for
and then certain APIs are going up. So a lot of the beauty of Reddit is it's such an open platform. It's like that to me is like the wild west.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what it says?
The Wild Wild West.
It is how you say it. Okay.
Meaning anything goes, the Wild Wild West.
Anything goes. So because of that, you have all these subreddits and just so many people on it. It was about time that they were going to have to start cracking down on the amount of just categories and users there are. Like users that have made pages. Because remember, users don't pay for that. That's all on Reddit servers. So now they just had a huge blackout. And basically what they decided to do was they said, hey, certain I forget what API stands for, but certain things that use the Reddit APIs. So basically, let's say I had a third-party app that would be associated with Reddit.
Okay.
They have to pay for some of those API prices. So like they have to start paying for some of the servers that are being used. I'm trying to put this into somewhat layman's terms. It's a big deal because a lot of people were like, "Ah, crap, we can't." I love Reddit, but I don't love it enough to pay for whatever subscription they're going to end up going with, which I think they're going to end up doing anyway. So we had.
What's the perk of the subscription? Because I just get information.
No. It's to keep the pages up.
Oh.
So that's the point of the subscription. It's not for a person to person. It's for like your categories that you own. So let's say it's like news, CBS, like all the way down to like CBS.
So I subscribe and they give me feeds. Is that how it works?
No. So take it the other way. Say, okay, here's how I'll put it. You have the internet, right?
Yes.
Like just overall, you have CBS,
yes,
Fox, whatever, Wall Street Journal. They have to pay the internet to use those services, right?
To be on the internet?
To be on the internet.
Oh, I didn't know
Makes sense, right? Well, I'm just using it as an example. So
okay.
that's kind of what we're doing here. So imagine each one of those, NBC, Fox, Wall Street Journal, they're a subreddit.
But who's getting paid? What are they paying it?
They're
whom are they paying
Reddit
it?
so that they can keep the servers going. For all the, because every time you add more subreddits, you're just making more and more for the servers. And now it's like, hey, we're starting to run out of that server space. We're going to need you guys to start paying for the server spaces.
Okay.
We'll get more. You just have to pay for it. So it's nice in that regard. But the people of Reddit, you don't mess with the people of Reddit. Like that's one of those things where those
you mean the employees?
No, the people who use it.
People who use it. Okay.
So you don't want it. You don't want that. Those are the kind of people that like. Remember that South Park episode where the guy's sitting at his computer and he's like,
yeah.
those are those Reddit guys. You know,
yeah, okay.
You don't mess with them.
Yeah.
They have nothing to lose. Reddit is everything.
Yeah, that's their life.
So the CEO expected everyone to be like, oh, this is going to last for like 2 days or whatever. People are going to start paying. And Reddit's like, nah, we're not going to pay. And he's like, well, too bad. We're still going to start shutting the stuff down. No. So because of this, a lot of people... No, we don't like that. We don't like that? We like the freedom of the platform. Because now you're going to start...
Well, that's true. They're arbitrarily picking...
Yeah. Okay. They say it's based on how many people are in that category or read that category. But who's picking that? And this guy, who's the CEO, who I didn't even realize that this was the CEO. I thought it was someone else. But he's not really handling it very well. Right? It's kind of like... the way he... wrote his like article or letter to all of his employees, it's like very unprofessional from a CEO, and I get what he's trying to do. I don't know how many people actually work at Reddit. I think a lot of the actual quote unquote workers are people that are just like Redditors, the guys that just have their own subreddits and he pays them to keep certain Reddit, like I think that's how it works, like moderators.
Well, we learned from Twitter you don't need as many people as you think to run a lot of these sites.
This guy might have learned this a while ago, but this guy thought that this protest was going to last like 2 days. Like he literally said to his employees, "This will blow over." And turns out it didn't. It says right there, prompted a 48-hour blackout from the people, so people just stopped using Reddit, which was just killing them. And then it ended up going way longer than that. It's been like a week now. Some people are starting to come back, like open up their subreddits again to not have to pay. We're good. It's okay.
Okay.
Open up their subreddits again, but a lot of them are still on private. I'm curious as to what's going to happen here because they have to pay for stuff. Someone's got to pay for the server space. That's just a matter of fact. The question is, who's going to do it? The other beauty of Reddit is that there's not that many. Again, it's beautiful to the people, but there's not like any ad revenue or anything. Like there's not really any advertisements on Reddit, and a lot of those third-party apps that we were talking about. Mm-hmm. The official app for Reddit is pretty crappy. Like it's really bad in the sense of it's just basically a slew of articles. If you were to do it that way, it's impossible to navigate. That's why they make third-party apps that will navigate that itself.
Okay.
So Reddit's like, yeah, that's cool. You can do that, but you're gonna have to pay us. And those apps are like apps that people made not to make money on, but like they can't afford it. Right? So they're gonna have to get kicked out. Yeah, it's like, but how are they gonna pay when? Yeah, how are they gonna pay when they're not making a revenue? If you started that, then maybe they would have considered it. We obviously wouldn't have as many third-party apps.
Right.
But right now they're like, what are we gonna do? And I think the outcome of this is that everyone's gonna end up, if they can't pay, everyone gets pushed back to the official Reddit website, which no one likes. Like people who like Reddit don't use it because it's just that much of a disorganized shit show. What this guy should have done, in my opinion, as a CEO, I would have redone the app itself so that everyone's happy and then do the blackout if you had to, but at least people have something to go to. Right now, people are just not even using Reddit. And he's like, crap. And the subreddits are getting shut down.
There might have been some costs associated with it where they're trying to do the cheapest.
Right. The question is how.
The cheapest way of fixing the problem.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird in the sense that
you? Is that you?
That might be me tapping, but it's weird in the sense that you didn't prepare for the amount of servers that you would need. Like Reddit's always been big. I don't know how much bigger it's exploded in the last 2 years that we need to start charging people. But I feel like this was kind of a bombshell that you dropped on people rather than waiting for it to roll out, right? Usually you announce something and roll it out.
It's exploded in little tchotchke things. That's the problem. I don't think it's exploding in the large ones to compensate for the smaller ones.
How many subreddits can you do before people go, oh, hey, oh, man, did I leave my water? Oh, here it is. Before people go, hey, when do I go to another app? Right. Or like, what do I do? You're kind of locked in as a Reddit user. There's not too many other apps out there or like websites that are like Reddit. You can make the argument for Twitter and stuff, but those are more like social medias, whereas Reddit's not really a social media. I don't even know how to really describe Reddit.
Yeah, like I said, I don't use it that often because it never gives me what I need. But
yeah. Do you think you really can find anything on Reddit?
Do you think he pays somebody to every day make sure that curl is right there in the middle of his forehead?
That curl right there, yeah. He's got that big curl.
He's got that. Look at that. He's got that California look.
Yeah.
I can't do anything with it. He
Bet
reminds
you
me of
lose
Mitchell from Modern Family.
Yeah. He does. But I didn't even know. How many employees are at Reddit? I'm actually very curious. How many? Because I don't know who their parent. 2,000 employees. That's not bad. That's bigger than I thought, but that's like manageable.
Where are they located? No, they don't say. Doesn't matter.
I am curious though. Let's see. Reddit headquarters. I'm gonna take a guess. I'm gonna say
Washington.
It's got to be California
Or Washington or Seattle, one of those places.
San Francisco. God, we nailed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm interested to see what happens to Reddit because they have to come up with something. They can't pay for all these servers and just keep adding stuff. Like there's going to be limits at some point. The question is, what are those limits?
Mm-hmm. So I don't know enough about it to comment on the.
Crap. This is one I forgot to look at because I wanted to prompt this one. Why more and more colleges are closing down across the U.S. So I meant to read this one. I apologize I didn't, but we might read this one together.
I feel like we've been talking about this for how long now, you know?
So the editor-in-chief of Princeton wrote this one. Number one, it's the admission cliff that is impending decline in the number of prospective students. We'll be graduating lowest class high schools, classes by population in 2025, most enrollment, professionals. What's the second one? It's a reflection, I think, unanswered operating, meaning a heavy reliance on tuition, which can't keep up with inflation with essential erosion in enrollment. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is kind of obvious. It is.
We've been talking about for how long?
We're starting. Yeah, this has been ever since I went to college. This was kind of the question of more and more people are starting to realize that. Oh man, this is always a tough one because I never know how to answer this. And what I mean by that is it's kind of twofold. Number one, it's the admission cliff in the sense of people are starting to realize that a college degree is not as useful anymore. So back in my mother's day, not dating her or anything, if you had a degree in that field, that meant that you were an expert in that field or you were going to be an expert in that field. I feel like nowadays, again, I know doctors at my school that got D's all the way through college. So... Well, I'll be fair to them, D's and C's. But it's like, I think there is something to, I mean, I'm sure this is going to be a long debate here, but certain things you will need a college degree for, whereas nowadays I feel like that college degree is not as useful, unless you're going for your MD or your PhD. So, communications, gender studies, we all know that those are kind of, I have to be careful with what I say, but I feel like the jobs that you can get in those fields, you don't actually need a degree in. Would you agree? I dare you to argue with me.
Well, I'll throw medicine into the loop now too, because in the last couple years, or at least since COVID, we're learning they're dumbing down medical school too. Academia in this country is falling apart, and they're shooting themselves in the foot. They've been overpricing the education for years and years. They've been growing the administration at these universities. You got to pay for those people.
Right.
They're not growing teachers. They're not growing, TAs for a while there. They were all on strike or picketing because they weren't getting paid or they weren't getting paid union wages. And meanwhile, you're paying for diversity, equity, inclusion staff. You're paying for, athletic departments, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a trickle-down effect. Or either way, trickle down, trickle up. So normally the process is higher education sets the standards for what's expected from secondary education. Secondary sets the standards for grammar school. And then it goes in reverse. So the quality of the grammar gives you the quality of high school, gives you the quality of college. Okay? We're in a vicious downward cycle in both directions now. And COVID, I'm not going to say COVID caused it, but COVID was the final straw. When parents actually saw why we've been scratching our heads. Why are we educating not smart people anymore? Right. They can't do critical thinking. And they're being taught by people who were never taught to do critical thinking. So what makes you think that they're going to qualify for what Princeton thinks is valuable? Then you throw into the mix, there's no SATs anymore. There are no ACTs anymore. APs
or at least they're optional.
Optional?
Yeah.
They're being called racist. Your medical school now where it's pass-fail. Okay? And then
Yeah.
a recent manifestation of, and we've said this how many times in this podcast? For years I heard, we have no time to teach the test. And somehow we managed to have time for all this
this other stuff. Yeah.
other ideological things in the classroom.
My other question, and I think this is kind of for the kids that do really well in high school. Like, let's say you're a straight A student, whatever.
But what does that mean anymore?
Right. But my question is, like, it's kind of elating when that kid that has straight A's isn't getting into Harvard or Princeton or whatever school they want to because they're picking certain people not based off grades anymore, to put it PG, not bringing race or anything into it. But I know kids that were
race isn't it with the Supreme Court. There's a case pending. But
there is. So we can say, yeah.
Student,
so, right,
yes.
there's I wasn't sure if that was still going, but, right, it's the argument that so they tend to pick other races over the other kids that have. Okay, I'll just be blunt with it. There's a lawsuit going on right now.
They're
I don't know where it is.
overlooking better candidates in an effort to make it a more diverse,
for minorities. Yes,
a diverse class.
Which, again, if they being a minority is one thing, but you have to have the credentials to be at an Ivy League school. So if you're a white kid that has the credentials to be in an Ivy League school, and you're not getting in over someone who didn't do as well, who is a minority, then we have more problems. And then it's like, why am I even bothering with college at this point?
That's
when
right. And the issue is
college has kind of ruined itself.
Certain minorities, for instance, the African American, that's 13% of the population. Maybe it's 15%. So if you're trying to have a reflexive class of America, for instance, you should have a majority of, or at least 80%, will not be African American because of that fact. Now, we'll go into the other extreme, because with affirmative action and everything else, which is what's being questioned by the Supreme Court, too many students are being excluded because of their race.
Right.
And too many are being included, and race is not supposed to be an issue.
Right. I think that, based on, I don't even know why it's even a problem. If you're smart enough to get into Harvard and you have all the credentials, you should be able to get into Harvard, right?
Right, but I still go back to, what does that mean anymore?
Right, but I'm just saying fundamentally.
Right.
Like, if you're smart enough to work at Tesla, you should be able to work at Tesla. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Same thing with colleges. But to your point, Ivy Leagues, what are they anymore? I don't know which ones are.
No, and it's
just a name.
Add to it this. How many middle managers have just been let go because they were replaced by H-1B visas, which are technical individuals from overseas who are taking the jobs that a lot of the engineers and whatnot would get when they came out of, maybe not a Harvard, but a decent school.
Yeah.
So why am I going to college? As a parent, why would I pay for that if you're going to graduate with a degree to do something just to train somebody so you get fired and they take over that job?
Yeah.
That's a problem that needs to be addressed in this nation.
And then let's take it even further. Let's say you get through college. Mm-hmm. Now, great, you have a degree, which you can argue is not worth as much anymore, if anything. Mm-hmm. Now you have to go to your MD or your PhD or your master's or your graduates. How much student debt are you going to acquire until it's worth it? Mm-hmm. So that's the second part. I think
especially now, since they will probably not allow you to write off the student loans.
Yeah.
Which, if I was a parent recently, and as a family we were struggling to figure out how we were going to pay tuition, and I'm being told that I might have to pay for other people's tuition when I can't even, through my taxes, when I can't even pay for my own kids. I'm not paying for college.
Yeah.
Why would you?
So it just gets, I think 10 to 20 years from now, I think Princeton, just college in general, will be not obsolete, but I think you're going to see more and more online degrees. I think you're going to see a lot more people get online degrees.
Yes, I don't think you'll get the... to your point, you're going to wind up going in and buying the professor's class.
Right.
And maybe they'll have some sort of qualification to access certain professors at certain schools. But the brick and mortar, that mentality that I was talking about, brick and mortar means the buildings and whatnot. Yeah. I think that's going to start to fade away. Maybe not, the next generation, but eventually it doesn't make sense. And if we've learned nothing else from COVID is you can slap together some sort of degree program for these kids meaning young people, at any point in time if they really want to. Yeah.
Or you're going to have specialized schools, ones that specifically specialize in certain things. I think that the Ivy League schools are going to stay around forever, but
don't say forever.
Here's why I think they're going to last a very, very long time. And the reason what I think is going to happen is you're going to realize at a certain point, let's say 50 years from now, it's not going to be the prestige that you think it will, and they're going to start letting in a lot more people for online courses. That's how I'm going to predict that one. I think look at certain celebrities who probably never spent a second in a classroom after high school. They have Princeton degrees.
Yeah, but you don't. That's maybe, I don't know if that's necessarily true. There's some actors and actresses who went to higher Ivy League schools and
Sure, if they did the work, I'd like to
cetera.
see the workload that they had.
Well, I mean,
after they were already famous.
As we're learning, a lot of people get into these schools and they don't have the same credentials as others.
So they're killing the name of Princeton I'm going to say Princeton because that's right by us. They're killing the prestige of Princeton because they're allowing certain people to get in that don't have the credentials. And that's why I don't find Princeton.
What you have to remember about these schools, though, every school, but especially these Ivy Leagues, it's very important to them about their alumni. That's how they feed their endowment. So if the quality of these students, so I'm a business person, I hire somebody at Harvard because I went to Harvard and I put that person in, and they consistently can't do the job. They're not educated to do it, or they're lacking in certain skills. Now, let's be honest. There's very few jobs out there that somebody can't learn. I don't care how many degrees, whatever. But there's an expectation if you come from a higher end school. I think it's wrong to think that because I've seen just as many highly intelligent people coming out of state schools, out of mid-level schools. That's what they could afford. They got more out of it than what they would have gotten if they were one of many in Harvard.
Or they got the same. They got the same. The only thing that you get from a Princeton or Harvard, as someone who knows Princeton and Harvard kids that are not very smart, it's just the name. That's all you're getting. You're getting the name.
Well, you are, but that's it. It's a feeding program.
Yeah.
So you're expected when you get out to get to a certain level where you make a certain amount of money, where you're now going to give back to that school. Yeah. And that's how.
I'll tell you, the kids I know are not giving back to that school.
And there's that should be a concern with academia. And I go back to what I'm saying. When you start taxing those endowment dollars and they start paying taxes like everybody else, I mean, we're talking $1 billion, I think Harvard's up to, with their endowment fund.
Yeah, probably.
Tax-free, people. So while you and I are funding and possibly paying for other people's student loans, right, anybody could afford to go to Harvard for free. They have that much money in their endowment. They generate more than enough. Yeah. No, because they mass that money because it gives them power and control. Yeah. And they are probably starting, they won't admit it, probably starting to realize that gravy train might not be there down the road because they may not be going to these upper echelon positions if we don't teach them critical thinking, if we just take them in because they're of a particular type. Not necessarily the worst students in the class, by the way.
If you were to place your bets, right, here's the real question. All of our viewers can type in the comments what they think. Which of the main Ivy League schools is going to be the first one to not be an Ivy League anymore? See, I feel like Monmouth, I think they do very well. I feel like it's going to be, I can't think.
Monmouth is an Ivy League.
Not Monmouth. What's the freaking, sorry, Monmouth. Fucking, no, what the hell's the.
Your audience just went.
Marist? No, which is the one that starts with an M? You know
MIT?
what? I'm done with this.
MIT?
All Ivy League schools. Just so I can, which one is it?
With an M?
I think I mean
MIT.
I think I mean
Ivy
Brown.
League. Oh.
And for some reason, I think it starts with an M because I always see the logo, and for some reason, I think it's like a M. Don't know why.
Well,
but Brown, I know. Everyone I know. Oh no, that's what it is. Dartmouth, not Monmouth. Dartmouth.
Okay, well, MIT is up there over many of these, so yes. I don't even know what.
Well, MIT. Everyone I know who goes to MIT are very, very smart. So, but they say that MIT is not in here.
No, it's not.
Ivy League
I don't
schools.
know
Let's see
what league they're looking at, but that's what I mean. It depends on who you talk to, what's considered. I mean, these are traditional Ivy League schools. There are a lot of schools out there that are far better in terms of the education and the level of people, but these are the traditional ones that everybody
You're
knows
telling
of.
me Princeton's number one? I thought Harvard was number one.
No. It rotates. This is U.S. News and World Report. Every year, but it's always basically the same top 10. Every now and then one will move into the slot, but
Columbia.
Again, we're getting to the point where it doesn't really mean that much anymore. Somebody's going to say, well, I got to interview 500 people. Just give me the top 10 because they don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
And you could be missing out on some excellent candidates that And keep in mind, many of the kids, you have the legacy kids, right? They get into these schools just because mom or dad, or grandma and grandpa, or all of them have gone there forever, and they have to go. And a nice fat check was written to the university. So how qualified are those individuals? They're going to inherit money, and it's going to go right back to the school. So, you have the feeder people, and then you've got they do their woke stuff by having the diverse people with the fill in the other spots.
Cornell, ranked 17, Columbia 18. I want to know. So MIT's got to be underneath them. Like they got to be close to the top.
No, I mean these are Ivy League schools, but that doesn't mean they're the top schools in the country. That's what I'm saying.
Right. What I'm saying is, but 18, MIT has to be somewhere in that top 18.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
MIT is usually like number 2, number 3.
Everyone I know who comes out of MIT is very smart. Usually an engineer.
It's a particular type of. If you really want to get picky, each one of these schools specializes in a certain area. So, you want to kind of find your
every
niche.
School
and if you
specializes in something, but they're
no,
like
that's
the
not
best.
True. That's
what,
not
what
true.
What do you mean?
Not
Scranton,
true.
Well, Scranton's nursing and OT. Penn
There's
State's
a difference
business.
between what you're known for versus what you specialize in, right? So
when you say specialized, that's based on the professors that teach it, probably, right?
No, it's based on usually the tradition of the school, like what they're known for and what they were established for. So you tell me, what does Dartmouth College specialize in? It's a general
right. But what does
school.
Princeton specialize in?
Same thing. Princeton or Harvard, Harvard they have individual schools.
Oh,
right?
I see what you're saying. So
but
MIT is
a
special
technical school.
I thought you were saying each
Cornell
one of these
used to be known as a
something.
specialized, more of a science-based school, whatnot,
Brown is
anyhow.
Which one's lawyers? I thought one of these was known for lawyers.
And by the way, I think Brown was one of the first. Harvard, half of these. UPenn wasn't one of the first Ivy Leagues, the first 4. So it changes. It's all different schools. But back to the original point, it's phasing out. People don't
no
see
one cares.
no one. Well, you're just not getting the value anymore. No. It's just not what it used to be. And to your point, I've spoken to graduate level people. And now you got all these games with all the different stuff that you could be executive MBA, you could be an MBA, you could do a part-time MBA. Anybody who's gone through a full MBA program will tell you there's a difference.
Yeah.
And employers want to see the difference. So now it's not only what school you go to, it's the quality of the degree. There's nothing wrong with getting an executive MBA from Brown, or I don't know if Brown has it, but from Harvard. It's very good. I think
that
but
if you go on to get your master's or something at Princeton or Harvard, like if you go further than just your BS, I think there's a lot more merit to that than a BS anywhere else. So let me put it this way. I think a BS from Scranton or wherever, Penn State. Okay, here's a better way of putting it. Any state school BS, I think, is just as good from like a Princeton, Harvard, depending on the major, of course, but let's just say generally, is the same, right? BS, I don't think it'll matter. When you get to the higher levels of like your MD from Princeton versus your MD at Penn State, I think Princeton's significantly better on a resume.
Right, but you're missing the game that you have to play. Your chances of getting into a Harvard are slim if you're coming out of a state school. Right. I shouldn't say slim, but it's easier if you're coming out of a private school or if you're coming out of an undergrad.
Do you think it's what do you think is a higher percentage of getting in? Princeton as a 4-year for your BS or after?
Well, I will tell you this, and this is years ago, and this is anecdotal. There was a person that transferred to my school, my college, who first got into Princeton and flunked out or didn't do well, whatever. And when that person was asked to compare the schools, his comment was this, even though he flunked out. Princeton was harder to get into, but my school was harder to perform at. So in other words, my school was more challenging to this individual than Princeton was. So it was harder for him to get into Princeton, but the work was harder at my school than it was at Princeton. So that's what, 40 years, 30 years ago now? What does that tell you? You think it's gotten better since then? And that's just one person, and it was one situation. But I'm finding more and more, like I've spoken recently to like I started to say, graduate students who have said, would you advise your kid to do it now? Would you tell your daughter or son to go to Columbia Business School, as an example? Right. And 2 people have told me, absolutely not. I wouldn't waste the money on it.
Really?
And they went there.
Makes sense.
Right. It's a different world now.
What is interesting, though, so Princeton grad school acceptance rate is 9%, whereas the actual acceptance for I'm sorry, that's Harvard. Hold on, let's see. So if Princeton's graduate school acceptance rate is 9%, what do you think Princeton's acceptance rate is for the 4-year?
Can I tell you something?
I'm
I
curious.
don't really give a crap
4.4, yeah.
until they take race out of the equation completely and look at somebody based on his or her merit. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's just wild to me that
They're not
I would have
taking
thought that
the
the
best of the
graduate
best.
school would be better, have a lower acceptance rate than
They're
the
not
actual
taking
BS.
the best of the best, and I'm sure the graduate school is the same situation. They're picking.
Yale
and choosing.
University is 5.3%. They're just letting anyone in. Stanford. Was Stanford on there? Is Ivy League?
Yeah, that's usually in the top. No, it wasn't listed. That's my point, Chris. You can't go by that list. It changes, it rotates, there's different people in. There are schools out there that have better, if your barometer or your metric is getting a job and paying job, it's not always the Ivy League schools. For a while there, it was the Colorado School of Mines. They were like the top school for getting a high-paying job when you graduate.
All right.
Caltech, is it Caltech? I think Caltech is a very, very strong science, math school.
Caltech?
Yeah, very tough to get into. You know, you could make the argument that those people, they have a credible... Isn't it Stevens Institute? They have an incredibly high placement rate in the graduating class.
Yeah, for Stevens University is known for its tech, though. They're kind of like a specialized
But I'm saying
school.
that's an example of a school that...
I don't know much about Stevens.
As a person who wants your kid to get a job after you just invested tons of money, I mean, these schools are incredibly expensive.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't get subsidies, you're not... I don't care if you get in. You're not going to get...
It doesn't matter, though, Mom, because you have to get your high school diploma first. Did you see this? Girls high grad speaks out after being denied a diploma on stage after dancing during ceremony. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
Watch this. This is... You know what? I felt really bad for this girl.
She was celebrating? Is that what it is?
But it's not... You'll see. It's not even that big of a celebration.
Well, was she told not to? Like,
No,
it's not allowed?
Yeah, I guess, but watch. You have to... I want you to justify if this is a dance. So...
17-year-old says the principal warned students their families could not cheer or clap when they walk on stage.
Family can't cheer or clap.
I was telling in the video, I'm like, do not say nothing because I want my diploma. I knew and understood what we were supposed to do.
So, ready? What? This to me...
Dance across the stage.
It's not like she's stopping the ceremony. She just made the same...
She says because they laughed, the principal told her she could not receive her diploma.
If they thought that I shouldn't do the gritty across the stage and do the girls' high traditions, nobody should have been able to wave or blow kisses or do period signs because I feel like that's the same thing. So I just thought it was really unfair.
Abdur Rahman says she's not alone. 3 other girls did not get their diplomas on stage, but all of them did after the ceremony. The school district of Philadelphia
It's not
said in a
condoned.
statement, quote, the district does not condone the withholding of earned diplomas based on
Family members cheering for graduates. So that's all I wanted to show. But I didn't think that was justified. Like I think it's a little too for high schoolers specifically. So I knew kids in high school that weren't getting their diplomas, right? Like they flunked out, whatever. They were allowed to walk, and then you would get your diploma, but it would have nothing in it. But no one would know. There's a certain level of embarrassment, I guess, that a kid feels for not graduating, right? And not getting their diploma. But what I mean is the school shouldn't be able to basically out you in front of everyone, right? That's a little disrespectful to the student. Right?
Well, I mean, I'd have to see the context of the other people that she's talking about. I'm taking it based on her.
My other question is it really for dancing, or did she really just not get her diploma? Like, in the sense of she didn't have the grades or whatever. But even then, again, maybe it's different because we went to private school, but you would never tell a kid no to their degree on graduation day when they're walking. They would know beforehand.
Right.
But they're still allowed to walk for the most part, or they don't walk at all. You don't make a kid walk just so you can say you're not getting your degree.
Right.
That's insane.
Your diploma, not degree, your diploma.
Diploma, whatever. High school, your GED.
You don't get a degree, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like that, I just thought that was really shitty to do.
Well, I tell you, it goes back to what we're saying about, and this is a very small thing, but you're given instructions
Yeah.
They don't want you to dance.
Sure.
They want to keep it proper.
I get that.
If that's the tone that they set, then the parents of the kids should have complained beforehand and said, you know what, we want to celebrate or whatever.
That's fine.
But when you make rules at a school, right, I'm one who says you follow the rules. If you don't like the rule, contest it. But you don't break the rule and expect them to bend to you.
My only argument to that is that's the rule always. Like even in high school, right? When I was there, you're not allowed to dance or do whatever.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know if other
do
schools
it because
don't have that.
they can't do anything about it, right?
Well, apparently they can.
I don't know if they are. Well, no, technically they aren't because the school district said no. But
yeah, but guess what? She didn't get it the day of.
Right, but
the school went out and she'll get it after the fact.
It's disingenuous to do that to a kid.
Well, I'll say this.
Again, you're in high school.
But listen,
17, 18.
let me say back to your comment about if a kid didn't earn their diploma, they could still go to the graduation.
Right.
I have a problem with that. If you didn't
depends.
earn it, you don't go.
Right, sure, that's fine.
You're not getting a diploma.
You would know beforehand.
Yeah.
You don't go through the whole walking process to get all excited and they go, hey, you're not.
No,
like,
right.
That's a dick move, right?
Right.
You can't.
But you know
that.
what? She might, I don't know the situation, you just showed me a little clip. But she might have known that, and she was challenging that. Maybe she, based on that school, was saying, I'm going to do it anyhow. She's acting like, well, I thought it was okay because other people were doing it. Maybe she knew. I don't know. Maybe the kids who all did it, maybe they were testing the waters. And I just get...
Possible, yeah.
I just get really tired of, if that's the rule...
Right, don't break the rule. Right,
or address it before the event. Don't defy it. You know, everybody has a right to address it. It's an open society. You can do what you want. If you want to celebrate, you go, you do. But you make a point of saying, you know.
But there was another one that I saw. I think I saw it on TikTok. There was another girl who, same thing, no dancing or anything, just walks up. They didn't give her her diploma. They said she just didn't have the grades or something. But
okay, that is wrong.
Right. Like how, that's like a big F you to the student and the family.
Well,
you know?
I don't, again, I don't think it should happen, but I also think they shouldn't be allowed to get a fake one either. Unless there was
a fake one.
No, but like an empty something handed to you because they knew you didn't graduate, but they want to give you the ceremony. That's something you earn. That's not something that you get. You know, you get to go to the ceremony. That's not fair to all the other kids who went and busted their asses for 4 years to get a diploma. Maybe some of them just barely getting by to pass and got to go to the event.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough one because usually it shouldn't be a surprise when you're up there if you're going to get your degree or not.
That is true. And I'm not sure it was a surprise for these people, Chris. Don't kid yourself. They know ahead of time if they're failing out.
Oh, yeah. I'm giving this girl the benefit of the doubt because it looks like they had the degree for her. So there's your piece of paper.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's justified that they didn't give her diploma. I just think it's really messed up that you would do it in front of everyone like that. At that point, you just give her the diploma and you talk to her at the end. Hey, thanks for that. Hey, like...
I don't know I don't know if I agree with that because think about it. There might be plenty of people who would have liked to celebrate, but they didn't do it because they knew that wasn't the rule.
My argument would be a celebration to me is you're really bringing it to a standstill, like in the sense of you're not even walking, you're just doing a whole freaking dance. She's in motion. She's probably going the same pace as anyone who was going up there anyway. And then for them to kind of pull the diploma over that, like to me, that's not even really a celebration.
No, but there's certain schools have a certain decorum that they want everybody to follow to keep it fair for everybody.
Yeah, but to deny someone their diploma, like I get you. It's kind of just a shitty thing to do in front of a lot of people.
But I don't know if we know the whole history here. We might find out that there's more to this story.
Yeah, we might find out that girl has been a problem for years, but
who knows?
Again, all the more reason to give the diploma and get the hell out.
No, and that's where I disagree because too many times people are bowing down. The administration is giving in to a lot of snot-nosed kids, not saying it's her, that decide they're going to dictate what the administration's going to do. And no, that's not how it's supposed to work.
To me, if you get your degree, you got the grades for it, right?
Yeah.
You deserve your degree.
Diploma, yeah.
Your diploma, whatever.
Yes.
If you don't have the grades, you failed out, and you have to do summer school, I understand you're not allowed to get your degree or whatever. But you don't out them in front of everyone like that.
Yeah, but I don't know that this girl was outed for that.
She wasn't given a diploma
because she didn't follow the rules of the day. And you know what? If they let this girl go, guess what? Somebody next year is going to do it too. Someone's going to decide to do a dance also after they've instructed not to do that.
It's kind of a weird rule because every other school I know, you're allowed to celebrate on the way up. What makes your school so special that you can't celebrate?
I don't know. I do
Ridge
know.
Ridge does it. Bernard's does it. Immaculata did it.
A lot
Somerville
of the
does
schools have 800 kids graduating. So you know what? It's like here.
Agreed.
You want to celebrate. Nobody even sees it.
I agree, but from what she did, to me, a celebration would be if everything came to a halt. She really didn't come to a halt.
No.
You're right. That's just walking
I understand.
up with this pep in your step.
But if they have a rule wherever it is to keep it the same for everybody, right?
Yeah.
This is what you have to do, and this is the rule. Yeah. She chose to do something that was outside of what was allowed. If other people did the same and got away with it, I'd have a problem with it.
Sure.
But if that's the rule, and that's always been the tradition at the school, I have no problem with them putting their foot down and saying and making an example for the future.
Yes, sure. I guess I see it. But again, to me, that's not a celebration what she did. And even shittier.
Well, I don't know if you call it a celebration, but whatever she did was not appropriate. Well, that's what they named it, but it was just.
If it brought everything to a stop and she's throwing confetti everywhere or whatever and everyone's standing and cheering for her, then we got a problem.
But Chris, that's the problem.
Me is like
where do you draw the line?
That to me was below the line.
Yeah, but that's not for you to say because another parent could say, "Well, my daughter wanted to do less than that.
Maybe your daughter just didn't want to celebrate."
But I'm saying you can't. You have to keep it consistent. When you don't do it, that's when institutions start to fall apart. She can celebrate all she wants to outside. She could do a dance back at her seat. She could do a dance with her family. The one thing the school requested was, orderly come up, people don't clap. It's not allowed to ask. And you're right, people do it all the time. They clap when their kid's name is. It's not right. But they do it. Somebody drew the line and said, hey, this is inappropriate.
I don't know why you say it's not right.
It's not right if the school says you can't do that. We don't want
what is it, North Korea?
No, because if she does this, what's next? The next girl's going to throw confetti and she's got to do a dance.
Well, that's different though. That's completely different than what that girl just did.
But where did you draw the line?
Confetti.
Suppose one girl skips
confetti.
Up there. Suppose one girl skips up there.
That's fine. I would say that's fine.
But some parents may not like that.
In fact, you're speeding it up.
But some parents may not like that, or some administrators may not like it.
Yeah, but again, it's such a weird rule.
It's a rule.
Name any school that doesn't allow
a lot
that.
of weird rules.
Yeah, but what school doesn't allow that?
I don't recall being allowed. I don't remember specifically from my high school graduation. They were pretty strict. We had multiple rehearsals. You had to do it a certain way. People didn't do that then, but I don't know what to tell you. If
it came to a screeching halt for her celebration, then I'm with you. But this is like, it's all in motion. She's going the same speed as everyone else. It's not really a celebration. If she pulled out champagne, then I'd be like, okay, hold on, what are we doing?
Also, Christopher, what we don't know, too, is maybe they told these people many times during rehearsal, you are not to do anything other than walk up here.
It's your last day. Like,
Listen,
no one's gonna go by that.
Then she shouldn't have done it.
Like,
and maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they made it look like she did one thing and she got in trouble. Oh, that's so mean. Maybe they've made a point of telling them several times, we do not want anything other than you marching up here. Now, you could say that's wrong. You could debate it, but you do it before the graduation. For all I know, this person was being insubordinate. She knew she was told not to do it, and she
let's
did it
not use the word insubordinate, though.
Well, I mean, she's breaking the rules. That's what that means.
You make it sound like it's a concentration camp.
No. That's the routine, and you do it because it's required to do it. I mean, it just is what it is, and she chose to break that rule.
I don't think you can ever.
We're not doing it.
I think no matter what you do, you should not be able to. I shouldn't say whatever you do, but for something like that, to deny someone their diploma on their big day that they've worked 4 years for, who had the grades to get that degree, I would say that this is very disingenuous what they did. Over that. I
would disagree.
If it was confetti everywhere and champagne being shot everywhere, then that's different.
I would disagree.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Take your word for it.
If a school has no rules and the kids want to celebrate, I don't have a problem with that. I don't care if they dance, moonwalk, whatever. If there's a rule in place and some kids choose to break that rule and get away with it, I have a problem with that. In any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Okay. But Besides that, let's talk about failed high school students. John Morant.
I don't know if you call him failed. He's making a lot of money for
Yeah,
a kid
I shouldn't
that
say
failed.
failed, but I thought this was funny. So for those of you that don't know and don't follow sports, John Morant is a basketball player who's had a bunch of problems this last season with weapons. So the first time he had a gun somewhere, I forget where it was. I think it was like in a strip club or something. And then recently, right, and he got suspended. They put him on a leave of some sort of absence or whatever. Now, I just learned recently from Brendan Schaub on The Fighter and the Kid.
I think he had in a car too.
Yeah,
Video of him
that's
in
the
a
next
car with
one.
a
But
gun. Oh.
I didn't realize that there's certain accolades for being like an All-Pro or All-State or whatever. Like, there's certain levels. Like, if you're All-Pro, I don't remember all of them. Sorry, Brendan Schaub, I wasn't really paying attention. But
Where's Mike when we need him?
yeah, but the
Michael.
incentives that these guys get, like, I don't even think LeBron was All-State. Like, there's so few people that actually get this, especially in football too. Like, it's actually based on, like, they say, I think it's the is it the Heisman or whatever? But that means that you are. I shouldn't even guess actually, because either way, he's losing out on hundreds, a little over $100 million because of this. So he just had another scandal where basically his friends recorded him with a gun in his car. The viral video that went probably like 2 months ago, maybe.
A little bit longer.
So today he just got his 25-game suspension for the next season, which is a lot, which means he's not getting paid. He's losing out on a lot of money. Now, what's funny is now he's doing what's called damage control, where essentially he's trying to say...
Oh, Jesus, please help me.
He's trying
Oh,
to
dear
say
Jesus.
that the gun that he had in that car was fake. So this is what he posted today. Look, it's a gun lighter. I don't know if you guys can see it because my mom might be covering it.
Oh, sorry.
But he's using a fake gun lighter. Like it's a Glock. I thought this was hilarious. He should not be anywhere near any weapons right now. If he thinks he's getting... maybe his PR team told him to do this, but this is insane. But it's kind of a shame because he's one of those guys, he kind of defeats the... right, he came from like a good family, all that stuff, and then all of a sudden he's doing all this gang violence stuff. And not really violence. Like, I shouldn't say holding a gun is gang of violence. But there's certain... what's the word? There's certain criteria that the NBA wants. It's like a certain standing that they want. This is not it. The last two times where you've kind of messed up like this, I mean, you kind of deserve what you're getting, but it's like, why would you've lost out on so much money. Now, we talked about this at dinner. Apparently, I don't know stats or anything, but apparently he's such a good player that he's lucky they're keeping him around. But if he was like the average player, he would have been cut by now 100%.
Okay, so my same ruling applies. All your listeners are going to be like, damn, she's harsh. My same ruling applies to the NBA, NFL, professional sports in general. In my day, as a young person, there were a lot of athletes. They were considered quote-unquote heroes. They were expected to behave a certain way. Now, O.J. Simpson battered his first wife. People didn't know that.
Debatable.
You didn't know it. Well, I don't know. Alleged. Was it alleged? I thought
No,
it was
I don't
actual
know,
police
probably.
report. The first wife.
I stand by
So
OJ.
he had many athletes that we thought were wholesome. You know, we focused on their
individuals.
career. You didn't have all the media, the social media and whatnot you have today.
Right.
My attitude is, if you want to clean up the NBA, the NFL, and everything else, if these are supposed to be role models for young kids, which I guess they're not anymore. This is just a business now. So professional sports has lost its charm to some extent, as far as I'm concerned.
One thing I always find funny is when I was younger and you look up at athletes, you're like, oh, these are your heroes. Now I look at them and I realize they're like 4 or 5 years younger than I am, like in their
Right.
early 20s. And I go, why the hell did I think these guys
Right.
were heroes?
Right.
Right?
But on the flip
not
side,
some of them are, but
on the many of them are. But on the flip side, you don't have children yet, and when your kid is idolizing somebody like this, as a parent, they're not. Are they doing it because they're great athletes? Are they doing it because of their their lifestyle, their cultures? I know I saw that.
his PR team trying to fix the
Yeah, I saw that.
situation.
Yeah. So my attitude is, you're out. Which I know a million people disagree with me. These are great athletes. You can't just, you'll ruin the
I
sport
would
if you
say that,
if you
but
do that.
I guess-
If you spend a few years kicking these players out, you watch how fast these other kids, when this is their golden ticket,
Right.
their family will get them to straighten up their act
I
pretty
think
damn
the
fast.
only argument for something like basketball is it's very hard to replace a starting five. You have a sixth man, seventh man, but starting
No.
five.
Hold on.
Football, I
These
think, is a
people
lot
come
easier.
into these sports with a history and a background.
Not always.
Not again.
But
some
remember,
of them
this guy
are
didn't
great,
have a background.
but they're not the ones that you hear about, and that's a problem.
What do you mean?
You don't hear the clean-cut good ones. They don't
This
make
was
social
one.
media.
This was the one,
No,
remember?
he had a history going into the
No.
NBA from high school. Yes,
Uh-uh.
he did.
I do not
I
believe
remember
so.
your brother saying that. And oftentimes that is the case. But you know what? One and done. I'm sorry. If you're going to bring that element from your private life into the sport, okay?
Well, just like with college sports, though, I think it all comes down to money, right?
That's what I'm
This
saying.
guy's gonna probably bring in a championship one day
That's what I'm saying.
with whoever they
But
put on.
it's
a team,
also
but-
catch-22. If the NBA and the NFL want to get into their personal lives, right, and put
That's
all
true.
these things in there, they got to live with it.
I think my only argument to that is personal life would be them actively going through his personal life to find something, whereas he's kind of putting it out there.
No. What I'm saying
Right?
is, and then on the flip side, here's my other side of the equation. For certain players, okay, who are accused of things, battery, for instance, or whatever, they get a suspension or they're put off the team until it's decided. I'm against that too. Because in our country, you're innocent until proven guilty. It's not an athlete's fault if he's accused of something, unless he did it. It's not her fault if it takes the court 5 years to bring the case forward. Suppose we go through all this, like we talked about that punter, and it turns out he was innocent.
Yeah.
So I'm also against, on the flip side, when somebody gets accused of something, no matter how credible it is, when the NBA, the NFL requires that they're suspended or they're
Right,
not allowed to
until
perform
further
until
notice.
they're convicted of
Yeah,
it.
that's stupid.
Right.
Agreed.
So-
I don't. But now here's the other question. Oh, it's not like he shot anyone. It's not like he actually did anything of violence. He just had guns. He just in weird places, and I think it's the standings and whatever. But my question is, it's not that he did anything illegal. For all we know, it's a legal firearm, and he has his right to open
You know what?
carry.
I don't recall all the details of the situation with him. I don't know if I do believe there was something in high school, and I do believe he was underage at the time. Mike would know better. But having said that,
We can ask him.
I think the NBA and the NFL, they have to decide when they want to get in the mix and when they don't want to. So if it didn't happen while he was, if the NBA has a rule that when you're on a team all season long, postseason, while you're under contract, you have to behave a certain way. Okay, that's a fair thing. You're contractually obligated. You can't do this stuff. But the NBA has to decide, what are you going to do when you do that? Is a suspension enough? A game suspension? For some of these players, maybe it's a good idea to do it because the money, it may not be as big a deal to Jay Morant, if I'm saying his name right, Morant.
John Moran.
If you're out for 25 games at his age, that's a chunk of time that you're losing points, statistics,
Yeah.
averages.
It's
that
yeah,
you're
no
gonna
matter what,
need
this is
when you
going to
go
hurt
to-
him. This is
Right.
going to hurt him a lot.
When you go to negotiate your next contract, if you want to achieve certain things.
Yeah.
So if you want to play that game,
Again, he's still going to make a lot of money. So I
But
doubt
where
it's
I
going to
have
hurt
a
him that
problem,
much. But
where I have a problem in general, and they have to come, and this is for across the board, MLB, all of them. If you're going to do it for one, you have to do it for everybody.
everyone,
It
yeah.
has to be consistent.
I don't know who else is at this level of bad, though. Like, I don't see any football player, except for you can make the argument of
this
Odell
isn't- I don't
Antonio
think
Brown.
what he's done anything quote unquote bad.
Bad, yeah. This
I
is
think,
more so of a
well,
bad
he might have
look.
fired the gun, but
No.
compared to what's his
O.J.
Adrian
Simpson,
Peterson, for instance, and Antonio
Brown,
right? And there's been many others. Those just come to mind. I mean, that's bad what they were accused of. I think one was convicted of it. What he did doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate for, and you can't even make the case, as you said, well, that's his background, that's his culture. He comes from that lifestyle, and take the kid out of that setting and put him in. It doesn't mean he's going to change. That isn't even his background.
Right.
So he's almost
He has a
forcing
good-
an image, and it's not a good image. I don't know why, and it's a shame. I wish there was some sort of method to say, you know what, buddy, you're going the wrong direction. This is not. You're trying to make an image of yourself that's very negative for the young fans.
I can say this because my friend's African American, but he said it funny. He said, how do you put it? He said, most of us are trying to fight our way out of this shit, and you're fighting your way back in. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
He said it's so funny too. We were all laughing at the
That's
gym.
almost what makes it worse. He doesn't come from that background.
He's like, all of us be fighting out here to get out of that lifestyle. Now we're back in. I was like, damn.
Right.
I guess you're right. Yeah. Speaking of wasted money, what is this about? Investigation finds $400 billion was stolen or wasted in COVID fundraisers.
Yes, the COVID nightmare continues. So after we had that debt ceiling discussion, we talked about that, was that last week or maybe even 2 weeks ago, about, we can't touch the COVID money because, that we can't call back. That was one of the things we wanted, to bring back the COVID money. All right, so now...
When you say, bring back the COVID money, you mean the money that was sent out to all the people?
Different things. PPP loans, money that's been allocated to all the different municipalities to use towards COVID relief, COVID initiatives, and whatnot. Okay. So the Associated Press, noting that the government appropriated $5 trillion on COVID, okay, for all these initiatives. 3.2 was done under Trump's. 1.9 was done under Biden with the stimulus program when he first got into office. $1 trillion has not been paid out, but it's contractually obligated to pay it out. So you can't claw that. We call it clawing it back. You can't bring that back. Of the $4 trillion that was spent, they estimate about 10% of it is fraud or waste. Fraud is probably about $280 billion with a B. Wasted is probably about $123 billion with a B. As an example, the Small Business Administration, that's for smaller businesses to get them going. They get special loans and whatnot. They're saying they have about 80,000 items to investigate. Probably take about 100 years to track all this down. There was no check against the do not pay database. So the Treasury has a do not pay. I mean, this was just a shit show from the beginning.
Yeah, we knew
and it was a shit show when Mnuchin under Trump was putting this out. It was a rush. We got to get this money out as fast as possible. No accountability, nobody tracking it. And on top of that, there's something called do not pay, the Treasury. It's like, when you go into a store and they'll have a thing that says don't take checks from these people because they always bounce. They have a do not pay database of entities that not a good idea to give them money. Didn't even check that. Maybe, as one legislator said, would it have taken 24, 48 hours? I think somebody could have waited 2 days to get their money. Didn't even bother. Just sent the money out. Okay? People lost their lives, their businesses, their livelihoods, while others have scammed the system. That's pretty much what the article is all about. And it kind of puts it in perspective when you hear things like, we can't take that money back. We can't reduce that COVID money.
I know they just announced another COVID booster for the new Kraken or XBB, whatever it's called. So,
I mean, a shot booster?
Yeah, booster. I'm just saying, everyone I know thinks COVID's over, and I know friends on the left, the right, whatever. I think the only people that talk about COVID still is the government. I don't hear anything on COVID anymore except for shit like this.
Well, I don't know if you get demonetized for this, but COVID's always been around.
Yeah. There's
just different strains of COVID. And now there are new strains of COVID. Some people are getting really, really bad colds. That's COVID. Yeah. Cold is COVID. So we won't go down that road. But having said that, now all this money's sitting out there. I mean, think about it. There's $1 trillion. We're talking about funding $1 trillion that we don't have, right? We pay these things out. And what makes it worse is they tell us we have to do it. Have to do it. We need that money. Yeah, they needed it so much that $1 trillion of it is still sitting out there unused. Well, you know what? I'm a taxpayer. I want it back.
Yeah. $1 trillion unaccounted for? Yeah. That's insane.
Yes. Don't tell me you're contractually obligated. I want it back.
You know who might be wasting money but not wasting money? KAKE. KAKE is getting huge. I'm gonna talk to Uncle about buying some KAKE. But KAKE is remember that's that website we talked about that is just I truthfully think that they're going to kill Twitch.
Oh,
right? We talked about this one. So I think we talked about it last week. I don't remember, but Twitch is basically kicking themselves in the foot right now. Literally, they are a dying horse, and the horse was like, just put me down. That's what Twitch is right now. So a lot of people are coming out with all the new problems that they have at Twitch. So Twitch used to be like a 50-50 deal in the sense of, let's say someone donated $5 to me. I would get $2.50. Twitch would get the other $2.50. So within like the last like 3 months, Twitch said, yeah, we're going to do 30-70. So now you get 30%, we get 70%, which is insane, right? And then they just came out with the whole, hey, you can't advertise anymore unless it's like through us and all that stuff. Like they're literally killing themselves. So Felix Langell, or however you pronounce XQC.
Langell?
Yeah, he's French Canadian. KIK just offered him a $100 million deal to go over to KIK. I didn't even know KIK had this much money, but I had to do some research and ask some people. Turns out that KIK, it's all gambling money. So it's all not a bad thing. It's just like all these big gambling companies all over the world. They said, yeah, we'll give you the millions. They're signing insane deals right now.
Why? What's in it for them?
They get the publicity. Twitch is falling apart. Like I don't know how
so
much
these
longer
gambling
Twitch has.
platforms get publicity on KIK. That's why they fund
It's
it.
not even that they're gamblers. It's just they have so much money because they're guys that own casinos and stuff. So the gambling's not the issue.
Oh, so they're just doing an investment.
Yeah, but they own the website. So they'll just freaking, hey, you want to give this kid $100 million to come over? He's like one of the top 10 biggest Twitch streamers.
But they must be getting something out of it. People don't put that kind of money in unless they're getting some revenue.
I think they're banking on KIK. We got to talk to Uncle. I got to ask Uncle what he thinks. But he like just how big that platform's going to grow. I truthfully believe that they're doing it the right way, and the way they're doing it is they're going to lose. They're going to lose a lot of money getting all these people over. But once you have all the big streamers, even if like 100 million is the cap, everyone's going to go over. And remember, we talked about this in the car. They're going to decide, which is a little weird. You could get paid $16 an hour working for KIK, just streaming, even if you have no viewers.
Oh, yes, you did mention this.
Why wouldn't you go to KIK right now? Even with Restream, even though Restream it's a little weird because it's such a pain in the ass to stream.
But you can't load onto that easily, or you didn't. Yeah,
I tried figuring it out. I'm still in the process so that I can get my KIK channel running, just because I feel like I do meet that criteria. But again, I don't know how they're going to decide. So I know now the other problem with that is every kid in the world is going to go, oh, I can $16 an hour. I stream 12 hours a day. I can play video games 12 hours a day, make $16. It's like, well, yes, but like it's a job, right? So this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with college degrees, in the sense of, well, now I'm getting paid to play video games as long as my content's good and I'm streaming regularly. That's more than minimum wage here.
In some places, yeah.
So my question is there going to be a cap for how many people? I'm curious to see how they do that, but that's kind of besides the point.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how much longer Twitch has before they got to do something really. Like they tried backpedaling, but it wasn't really a true backpedal. I don't know. I'm very curious to see where this goes.
Who owns Twitch?
Twitch is Amazon, but it's Amazon funds them. So like they're like the parent company. The actual CEOs and like the executives are guys that aren't that much older than me. They're like
I get it. Just they must get their money from somewhere.
And I remember probably like 2 or 3 years ago, back when Fortnite was at its height, like the Twitch abused their power because they knew they were a monopoly. Now they've lost their monopoly. What they would do is like those big streamers, like the biggest ones that were doing like 8 hours a day streams.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, cool. How about you guys do 10, 12 instead? And they're like, no. And they're like, no, you're going to do 8 to 12. Or otherwise we'll start pulling stuff. It's like, well, shit. And then all of a sudden Mixer came out, which was Microsoft's, that got bought out. So Mixer was a lot. Mixer was sick for like 6 months and then they sold it. Microsoft was like, yeah, sure.
Make their money.
Yeah, exactly. It was a money grab in the end, but sure. So I think Twitch was like, yeah, we're still a monopoly. I think KIK's gonna. The other reason they're doing this is because that Aiden Ross kid is. So Aiden's like their number one. That kid, again, I used to like that kid, but I mean, freaking, what a moron. He's like going around. He's like, this guy should be executed. This guy should be killed. Like stuff like that. It's like, you can't have that be your biggest streamer. Yeah. Right? Now you're losing sponsorship stuff. So they need guys like Felix here, XQC, to come over.
That's why they're doing it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. To come over. Is there like a thing that allows me to? Oh, God, that's so
it's
annoying.
literally KICKS kicks.
No, KICK.
Oh, that's what I said. KICK.
Yeah, kick.
I said S. Okay.
So they need guys like Felix who will come over and really grow that platform.
Yeah.
If he goes over, I know there's already a lot of other like B tier streamers from Twitch that went over.
Then it's worth it to pay
Right.
this.
And now Twitch is getting rid of their exclusivity again. You used to be able to, well, they're adding it, I should say. You used to be able, so there was a point where it wasn't, you weren't allowed to stream to other
Right.
platforms. They were like, oh yeah, you could totally do it. Now they're going back to, no, you can't do that anymore. It's like,
Well, 'cause like a
I
competition now.
have no reason to go to Twitch anymore.
Right.
The only thing that Twitch has that I use, and the only, because everyone goes, hey, do you know, I don't even know how many followers I have on Twitch. I never check it. I just use it for the clips feature, for the highlights at the end of the month when we do the videos. It's every 2 months now, but yeah, they have the best. They have the best features for the clips.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is once someone else figures that out, like if KAKE figures that out, how to do it. I mean, Twitch is dead at that point. It's
Right.
going to be a set of streamers, but it is kind of weird to see how it's almost like NFL contracts. It's like who's going to what team,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And now we have these $100 million deals. So just so you know, LeBron's deal for 4 years was like $97 million.
Right.
This is for 2.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts?
That's how much they want to grow these things.
Yeah, and they have the money. Again, these big gambling organizations overseas are just, I mean, nuts.
Speaking of gambling, you don't have to go overseas. Apparently, you can do it through Nintendo.
Oh, the segue. So I saw this one. I skimmed over it. This is the Nintendo
There's
facing loot
a
box gambling.
potential class action lawsuit
Whoa.
due to in-game monetization of the Mario Kart Tour.
Oh, is it? I haven't played Mario
Refunds
Kart.
for minors who purchased the Spotlight Pipe, which is a loot box. They're saying it's basically a slot machine. Okay.
Sure.
Gamers spend real money for a chance to earn in the game benefit, and a game benefit, right? When you're doing it, it says the article. So, but 5% of all the players, they call them the whales.
The whales.
They generate 50% of the revenue through these
Wow.
loot boxes, which is $30 billion, but that's in 2018. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, the whales.
Epic Games was fined $520 million for using dark patterns
Yeah.
to trick Fortnite players into spending the money. Activision changed the loot boxes into battle passes in, I think, Overwatch or something like that.
Yeah,
It's on the
Overwatch
article.
is kind of what started. Well, half true.
So at least they know what they're buying.
Yeah.
So I guess parents were getting a little bit annoyed, and teenagers, because they're gambling that they're going to get something out of these boxes.
I can see it can become an addiction.
And they won't get much of anything.
There's someone we know that we talked
Yep.
about that it definitely falls in this category.
Yep.
But the loot boxes, this is always interesting to me because loot boxes, there is a factor to the, like, you never know what you're going to get.
Yep.
You're putting in money, but you're never going to get. But this started a long time ago. Most expensive weapons in CSGO. So there's a game called Counter-Strike. Most expensive.
That was not in the
skins.
article.
Yeah, which I don't know why, because Counter-Strike's what started it all. Counter-Strike to this day still has all the loot boxes. So you pay $2.50
Go back to that article. Maybe it wasn't it.
Let's see.
Right at the
Because I
bottom.
would think that Counter-Strike
Yes,
would
it,
be
GCS something.
Yep.
I think it was mentioned. Yeah.
CSGO. would
If
be
you keep
the-
going down at the end, yeah.
CSGO
Just
released
go,
in 2012.
release 12.
Oldest
The
example of video
yeah.
game loot boxes. Okay, so I want to see what their argument is. Although unlike other games, there's a third-party market that allows players to use their... Oh, okay, so that's how they justify it. I was interested.
One went for $400,000 a skin.
Yeah, global. Yeah, that's about right. I was about to show you. Like
But
some
they
of those...
sold it, so they knew what
most
they were
expensive
buying. It's
skins.
not like they were selling a chance at something.
Well, you still have the chance of getting it from a box. So the most expensive ones, like that's kind of like most expensive.
From
no,
780, wow.
Yeah, like people will. There's people that don't even play the game. They just make a living off this. They'll just do the loot boxes. I think loot box itself is like $2 or whatever. $2.
So how do you make money from that 780? You
Because
let other people
on
use it?
Steam, you can sell skins. There's a whole market for selling and stuff. So I can sell trading cards too, not like not trading cards that you know of, but like certain games. Every time I buy a game, it comes with certain trading cards.
Right, but that's a one-time hit. So now I got to find somebody willing to pay more than 780, or
You could put it on
use
the
for other
on the
people.
market. Yeah. So let's see. So
That's a one-time thing. Boy, to me that's really risky to be putting something that expensive out there.
Yeah, so here's what a loot box would look like. Oh my God, Mom, we're going down the rabbit hole here. So there's all these different loot boxes.
Yeah.
So these are what people sell. So this is how many are on the market right now.
For $1.78.
So these are $2.16
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Revolution
yeah.
cases. So you can look at them, and this is everything that can. So I can buy that case.
Oh, that tells me what's in it, or what I have a chance
What you have a
to
chance
get.
at getting.
Oh, okay. That's the problem. I don't think they were getting
Yeah.
what they. Like I think
So these
nobody
are the
was getting this
quantities you
stuff.
can buy. Like there's so many third-party sites now that do this stuff, but I want to see search advanced. We want collection, field tested. Like there's different wares. It's all randomly generated, but like the highest end stuff. I want to see if I can get to it. I just don't remember.
Now, these things are constantly on there, or they always change.
People, it's
that
almost
gives it
like the
value?
stock market. Like people will put their. So right now I can go into my CS account. I got a couple guns in there that they're not worth anything, but I could throw them in. Back when I was in college, the way I bought a couple of my games was if you unbox a knife, and I got 2 knives
Yeah.
in one summer, I made like $700.
But my question is, do those boxes always exist? Like, is there only one box?
There's multiple, but some of those crates that we just saw.
Yeah, that's what I'm
remember,
saying.
you always have the chance of getting something. The problem is some of those boxes, just the box itself, to get the chance at something, $5,000. Just the box, just to get the chance. I'm trying to think of what the
Right,
most
and I think that's what
expensive
these
are.
parents are complaining about. That's a lot of money, and you might get nothing, right? That's
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
Is you could
but
get nothing.
I think the argument is I technically could go and buy this right now for $1,600 minimum.
and you
wear.
can use that in a game.
Yeah, and it's just a skin. It doesn't do anything.
But you can't. Can you share that with somebody, or you'd have to give it to them for their game?
No, they buy it.
They'd have to
like
buy
they'd
it.
have to buy it. Dragon.
That's a little strange.
I think Dragon Lore
Yeah.
is still the most expensive. Let's just see.
That's unbelievable that people would waste that kind of money.
Unbelievable.
On games.
Some people, I'm telling you.
Oh,
I want to see,
jeez.
like, let's see what a Dragon Lore is going for right now. Because a Dragon Lore right now. So just these patches, which is just a sticker that goes on the gun. Dragon Lore. Let's see.
Well, I mean, $6 is one thing. You'd buy a patch
Well,
for a
I'm trying
jacket
to-
for $6, but I just think that $1,600. I mean,
Right. But so I can decide. So right now, a Dragon Lore right now,
yeah.
with no attachments or anything on it, like no added stickers or anything,
13,000, 12,000.
starts at like, I think it's 5,000. So these must have stickers or different, like a low end Dragon Lore is with minimal wear is like 5,000. If you get a factory new Dragon Lore, that's like hitting the jackpot.
So explain to me why somebody would want that.
It's a status thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like for Siege, even though I don't really play Rainbow Six anymore, that's the game I was telling you, like
Yeah.
they'll still send me statistics. We have a skin in there called Glacier. The only people that got it are the people that played it in the first season and bought it. So there's like not much left. We actually got it through the Pro League when we used to play.
Okay.
The Glacier, people, it depends. Everyone will say differently, but just that alone with just that skin, that makes my account at least $1,000.
And you see no correlation, or nobody's seen it, of people who buy these things tend to do get higher rankings or anything?
No, there's no statistic. It's just a skin. It's no different from there's no stat
No,
changes
but I'm
or
saying,
anything.
are you seeing an algorithm or anything built into these games where
There's a
somebody
joke that we have in the
gets
gaming community called
bumped up?
skins equals wins.
Yeah.
It's kind of, and that's where
Yeah.
you get it from. That really started with Fortnite because Fortnite's cosmetic system was insane.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm wondering if I'm marketing this stuff. That's how I would look at it. Like, well, let's throw Chris, a little extra bump in his rankings.
so when we
because he
were
buys so much.
long time ago, like 5 years ago, I would say there was a big gambling problem with this game specifically, where third parties, companies were telling streamers, "Hey, like use our company, we'll give you some stuff." And basically, like what they would do is they would go in, and when they would spin the box,
Yeah.
like let me show you what it looks like when you CS:GO case opening. This is what it would look like. Best unboxing the best cases. So this is
Ooh, jeepers.
he's gonna do 500 boxes. So think about that. That's almost 5 times $2. So almost $1,000.
Yeah.
And and now remember you have to buy it for the skin. So that's what it would look like. See, it's a complete RNG system. Purple's better.
Why
blue
is the
all
guy
way.
in a mask?
I don't know. YouTubers are weird sometimes. I don't know CS:GO streamers.
He doesn't
but-
want his mom to
So
see
like
him.
he just got a paint. That's probably pretty solid. How much does that cost? Actually, I think this guy lives with his dad, which is pretty cool. But like some of these guys will get, like if you're getting a knife unboxing, I mean we're talking.
So
but
wait,
it's
so
complete
all
gambling.
this was in the box? What I'm seeing? All
Yeah,
that
but
gun
each
cost?
box you get one
boy.
spin per box, right? But these guys, like it's an addiction. These guys are addicted to this. but they're making money because they can sell it. Like that's probably a $5 skin right there.
Okay,
Fact
I mean,
new.
I get it.
Yeah, but that's what it looks like.
$5,
But
I just don't understand why. I wasn't understanding the. My point was, is there an incentive that anybody's identified, like all these people that buy these skins or spend a lot of money?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right.
But again, because you do spend money, like as I said, there are guys that don't even play the game. They'll just make money off this. They do the buying and selling with the market.
Right. Okay.
They'll make, as you see, $400,000.
Yeah. No, I get it. If somebody's at, but at some point, we're not talking $6 here, which is the mass audience.
Right.
When you're talking $400,000, $780,000, that's a whole different category.
But just the cases for some of these are $5,000. That's a $5,000 case for the opportunity to get something high.
I don't even think Henry Cavill would pay that much for something. No, he's not going to do that.
But it's just insane.
He could.
Yeah,
but
Henry Cavill could. But he plays War Thunder or Warhammer. But
I'm
that's
saying.
why I actually completely agree. I think it's complete gambling. But as I was saying, with the third-party systems, so that the reason I showed you that was that spinning thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's based on a percentage chance. They would go to these YouTubers who were doing brand deals and sponsorships that basically what they would say is, hey, do a video of you spinning, seeing what you would get. We'll play the percentages, so you have a 50% chance of getting this. So they were changing the percentages.
Oh, that seems a little
Right.
bit
So now we're in
illegal.
legal. Yeah, a lot of people got sued for that.
Yeah, that's
So
an issue.
yeah, and they were giving them equity in the company, and because they got sued as well because they were part owners, right? So they went down with them, which sucks.
I think what I think fascinates me the most about this article,
What?
that parents actually know what these kids are
I know.
doing.
Well, remember when Fortnite
I
was...
think there are some people out there that are looking to use their kids to sue the hell out of these
sure.
companies and say, play this game. Let me see what it's about.
Remember that kid when Fortnite was at its
Jeez.
peak? There was a bunch of kids that were like using mom and dad's credit card, and they
Yes.
were putting like
Yeah.
$100,000 in.
All right,
It's
so
like,
then I can see a
God.
parent saying, okay, hold on, what are you doing here? And tell me. But now I think it's getting to the point where, like I said, that parents would be that in tune. For all I know, you guys could have been spending thousands and thousands of dollars. I have no way of knowing if it was coming out of your money until it was mine.
If it makes you feel any better, besides actually buying the game, I've never put money into a game. Like, I think skins are so stupid. Back in college, like,
Yeah.
I had like, as a joke, I started spinning for, like, boxing. Before I really did YouTube, I started boxing for stuff, and literally in the same day, I got 2 knives that were about $700 total. So I spent it all on. Now, here's the other catch, right? It goes into a Steam wallet. So it goes into my Steam account.
Yeah.
So for those of you that were wondering, like, hey, how was I able to afford games when I started YouTube when I was a broke college kid?
Yeah.
I used the $700, and that's how I was
Right.
buying my games.
Okay.
So down until I had the $700 was gone. But by
Right.
then, like $700 takes you a long way when you're buying like cheap indie games.
That's a decent amount.
So
What you were saying, I remember seeing your brother when he was still in like maybe freshman high school, maybe middle school. They'd spend more time picking the character and dressing him up and the
still
hair
do
and the
that.
clothes and doing all that.
they
do more of that
This
than
is
they
how
did actually
narciss-
playing the game. I'd come down here like 5 times.
This
I'm
is
like,
how
what the
narcissistic
hell?
your son is. Every time I play a new game, I make the character look exactly like me.
Of course. Well, Mike does the opposite. He picks a particular type of character, and it's always that character.
Yeah.
But I would just look at it like they're not even playing the game, and he'd be on with the headset, and they
Yeah.
change the. You know, what I attributed to when we were little girls and we played with dolls, and you changed the clothes and stuff. I mean, it's the same kind of
Oh, yeah.
mentality of dressing color forms. Anybody listening who's old like me, we used to do color forms where you put the different skins on the little doll.
Yeah.
Now you're just doing it here. Now you're doing it with guns and stuff. But we bought one and done. You weren't buying like multiple things and everything else. So I don't know. I mean, I get why they do it. I don't know about the older people. I
I
can see the
am
young
with
kids.
them on this. I do think it's complete gambling.
That is gambling. I mean,
That's
it's
how
just,
a kid gets addicted, especially at a young age. Like, you got to have limits to that. And CSGO. I guess the argument, though, is if it's a game that's rated T.
Yeah, they
10
shouldn't
and
be
up,
on it anyhow.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I never really realized that. I mean,
They
it
don't
makes
go
sense,
into
but-
that, but there's
Right.
something to be
Like
said
a rated
for.
M game, if a kid's using your credit card, then it's like, hey, he's not supposed to be playing the game anyway. That's probably how they get them.
Or here's another story. Where are these kids getting these credit cards? I don't even let you guys have my credit card, and you're adults.
Yeah.
I trust
Mommy,
you all. I
Mommy, I
know.
need to buy this.
Who would, I guess you could have if at some point you were, just devious little
Yeah, if
kids.
I told you though, but yeah, no, there was no.
That would
way
only
we were
happen
doing
with
that.
1 month statement. As soon
Yeah,
as I
the
saw
second
it, I
you
would
found
shut
some-
you
yeah.
down.
Think about your fingers. You're not eating for a month. So the last one that I have. So this was actually pretty cool. This is a game I've been waiting on for over 2.5 years now. Lies of P demo has been downloaded over 1 million times in 3 days. That is insane. I don't know if you've ever had a game have that many downloads for a demo. So Lives of P is Pinocchio, Mom.
Oh.
Right? But they turned it into a Dark Souls game. It is. I literally just did the recording before this for the game. I know it's been out for a little bit, but we weren't here. It is phenomenal. I played it. It's very well done. We're going through all the Dark Souls games right now. Doing something pretty impressive, Mother. You wouldn't understand, but
Of course, because I'm stupid.
no, I'm going to be one of the few people to platinum all 7 From Software games. So very few people have done that. Where we finished. So we finished. Just so everyone who does see this knows. So far, we've platinum Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Sekiro's, Demon Souls. We just did. Now we're doing Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. This one, when this comes out in September, we're gonna platinum that one. So I know everyone's gonna want to see that.
So you've done the demo. That's what you're
I
saying.
literally just recorded the demo before this. So before we started the podcast.
When you
It's
record
really
the
good.
demo, you can only do it for like a certain period of time.
Yeah, so demos, I will say this, even though I haven't put out the video yet, which comes out on Wednesday, so it'll be, by the time you guys hear this, it won't be out. Usually demos, I actually did another demo that a company sent to me for another game. It was very short. This demo is pretty long. I'm actually very impressed. Like it's probably about 2.5 hours, I would say, if you don't die, and I think I died once, but I didn't finish it because I don't want spoilers. I'm waiting until September for it to come out. But the other awesome thing is, right, this is going to be a $70 game when it comes out.
Yeah.
It's going to be free on Xbox Games Pass. So I only pay the monthly 10, Mother, which is nice.
Okay.
So for those of you that need an incentive to, I'm telling you, Microsoft, give me a sponsorship. I'm
really?
selling this Games Pass like crazy. So
I agree.
yeah. But phenomenal game. Strongly recommend for those of you that want to play
Put a little
another.
sticker right on our mics.
Oh yeah, dude. I will do anything for a Microsoft.
I'll put one on my coffee cup.
Jeez, but yeah. So it's impressive. I will say it's a good game, but it's probably one of the best Souls-like games I've played. And then, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for this.
September comes out.
You know what's nice too? I thought it was like a joke, a knock on Pinocchio, like in the sense of it's just like has an allude to it. It's really Pinocchio. It's like you have. I totally forgot. They start out with Jiminy Cricket, Liminy, whatever,
Jiminy
the
Cricket.
cricket. I was like, oh, it actually is Pinocchio. And then the father,
Geppetto.
Geppetto. So I thought it was like a joke, but it is like the what's it called, the Dark Tales, like the real tales. I forget what they're called. The
Brothers Grimm,
Brothers
where
Grimm's,
the original Dark
So that's
Side.
what it's based on. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Not the Disney version.
Yeah.
That one's not as
Although
fun.
now Disney's going dark with a lot of stuff too, but yeah.
Yeah. So
The original story, that's what I would say. I wouldn't think that it'd be appealing to have the
it's
fairy
really
tale
good.
version.
It is a little clunky, but you guys will see in the video on Wednesday.
Well, when they demo, is it purely for marketing or do they do some testing with it?
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be beta testing. All the big streamers have streamed it already, I'm sure. So
Do you give them feedback? Do you have a means of giving
I
them
don't
feedback?
have to. I'm not big enough for them to really. Maybe when, let's say, my guess is when when I put the video out on Wednesday, I'm sure someone will see it at like they're probably going through rounds of just go see what people's gameplay is. When you're a big company like this that's trying to compete with From Software that makes all the Dark Souls games,
Right. So
I'm
they
sure
have
they're
to
looking
check
for
out Pancake.
anything to make it better.
Pancake
We'll have it
101.
Well, I mean, it's already on the same channel, so
I know,
if you're
but
watching
still.
this.
Maybe somebody do an algorithm to pick it up during our
Maybe.
broadcast.
Who knows? But we will be streaming this when it comes out in September, so I am excited for that. But I got nothing else. Let's just see the Discord real fast. I don't think there was anything in Discord. Again, we got to get more questions in the Discord, everyone. I know you're all a little shy, but, we don't have anything. So, what is this? It's probably best to don't play that, but... So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the week, guys. The only things I have to promote... Well, as I said, we weren't here for most of the week, so I had to think. So Monday, Tuesday was the last podcast. I didn't post anything on Wednesday. Friday was the Devil May Cry speed run.
10:34. Wow.
that I put there. Yeah, and then tomorrow, so Sunday is another speed run, and then I've already picked out the games for next speed run month. I won't announce those, but we'll wait on those. And then, as I said, we're still going through Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls, we'll continue that platinum on Monday. Tuesday, the DLC for The Last Hero Nostalgia comes out, so we'll do that, and then we'll go back to Dark Souls, finish that out. I don't think that'll take too much longer, considering the pace that we did on Friday. Yeah, and then Lies of P comes out on Wednesday. This will come out on Monday. So I will see you guys at stream on Monday. You'll see Mom, well, also on Tuesday for Spotify. So you'll see Mom next week, hopefully, unless Kenny or Mike's home. And then, yeah, there's so much. And then
They're on the edge of their seats to see Mom.
Social media, promo codes, stream links, Discord down below.
What
Please
you gonna
add more
bitch
questions.
about next week.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next week.